Alright, today we are going to cut out an alto bag. So I have a Sharpie for marking the pattern. I have my pair of scissors for cutting it out, fabric scissors. I have my pattern template for the alto sax. It has writing on both sides. I have 2 pieces of my inside cotton. This is going to be the inside of the bag. 2 pieces of outside cotton. This is the school colors. This is going to be the outside of the bag. And I have 2 pieces of flannel that goes in the sandwich in between. So, first thing I need to do is to make myself a sandwich. So, I take 1 piece of my outside cotton, and I'm going to lay that down. Then 1 piece of flannel. I want to lay it down so that one long edge is lined up and it's 2 inches below one top edge. Now I happen to have nice markings on my board, so I can measure it fairly easily, but you can just use a ruler or straight edge or whatever you have. Just make it approximately 2 inches. It's marked on the template, so you can adjust it at that point. It's just the flannel is a little sticky, so sometimes it's easier to adjust it beforehand. And then you add your layer of inside cotton. Line the inside cotton with the top of the flannel, and one long edge again with the bottom 2 layers. There's a little fudge factor built in, so don't stress too much if the cuts aren't perfect. And in this case, you can see my pieces aren't all exactly the same size, and that's okay because we'll be trimming them based on the template. Okay, so now we're going to take our template, and it has 2 sides. One that has a long straight side and one that has a curvy side. You can start with whichever you want. I find it easier to line up the long straight side with the edge that we lined up, which just means that on the 2 different sides you line them up differently. You want to line this dotted line roughly up with the top edge of your inside cotton and your flannel, and the top edge of this, which should be 2 inches. Mine's a hair off, but it's okay. You're going to line up with that. That's your channel for your drawstring, so we just need to have enough room there. And if it's if it's off by a tiny bit, it's okay. So now we've got the template laying down here. Now there's instructions on here about what to trace and what not to trace. So we're first trace around the outside edge and trace onto your inside cotton layer. What you're looking at there is the inside of the bag. Carefully trace around the outside, and on this one we have a strap hole here in the middle between the 2 hand holes, and we also have a neck hole. That's where the neck of the saxophone will be coming out, or later we have a bass clarinet bag as well. This is the alto sax bag, but this tenor and bari sax, same principle, they're just larger. Template looks very much the same. And the bass clarinet bag looks very much the same as well. Now in this case, there's 1 hole for your hands on either side of the bag. This is going to be the right side of the bag with our neck hole. This is the part that faces the student. So this, the upper hole is for the left hand, the lower hole is for the right hand. And so this is the right side of the bag, so we trace the right hand hole. And it says on the template to trace this hole. It tells you which one to trace. So then you lift your template off, and what you see is the outline of the bag, the right hand hole, the strap hole, and the neck hole. Now while it's still laying here and stacked, you're going to cut out just around the outside. At this point, you are not going to cut out the hand hole or the neck and strap holes. We'll cut those out later after we've sewn a basting stitch around them to stabilize the whole stack. If it's easier for you to pin the layers together before you cut, you're welcome to do that. They just seem to lay nicely together, so as long as I cut immediately after I trace, I don't have too much trouble. And again, we've built some fudge factor into the pattern, so it's not a problem. And it just needs a slight amount of trimming. I'm trying to cut on the line or slightly inside of the line I traced. That'll just help with the sewing step. So there's one side of the alto bag. So we're simply going to fold that over and set it aside. Folding it just helps the layers stay together. Now we're going to build our next stack the same way. Only this time I want to line up the long edge on the opposite side, because this is going to be the mirror image. That one was the right side, this is going to be the left side. So we're putting down our outside cotton, we're putting down our inside cotton, and we're going to line it up on the long edge that's farthest away from me this time, leaving approximately 2 inches at the top. And then we'll lay down my inside cotton, again lining it up the same way as we did the flannel. This inside cotton layer was not cut as straight as the others, so it's not lining up as nicely on the long edge, but it's pretty close. So then we're going to take our pattern again. This is the side we cut before. So we're going to turn it over and line up the long edge on the opposite side that we did the first time. So we're creating the mirror image. And again, once we have lined up along this dotted line and along the top here and along this long edge, we're going to go ahead and trace around the pattern. If you have a rotary cutter, you probably could just cut directly around the pattern, but you do risk cutting the cardboard, and we need the template to cut a lot of these. So I recommend tracing it and then cutting it either with scissors or with a rotary cutter at that point. Don't forget to trace the neck holes. And then in this case, this is the left side, so we want to trace the left hand hole, which is the upper hole. And again, the instructions on the template tell you which one to trace on which side. So then you remove the template, and there you have the other side of your alto bag. So again, we're going to cut it out just along that line I traced. Now here, if you flip it over, you see where the edge was that was not quite lined up. So I'm just going to trim a little bit there. It'll make it easier when we sew. Very carefully, the angle's odd. I'm going to turn it, keeping those stacks lined up so that I can cut this side more easily. It's important you don't let the layers shift very much. And there you have the left side of your alto sax bag. And again, I'm going to fold that one, keep the stack together, take the opposite side, put the two stacks together, and then I will fold them one more time to keep the pair together, and that way they're ready for sewing even if you don't get to it right away. Thank you.